So SIP stands for Session Initiation Protocol. And SIP is really just a signaling protocol for multiple forms of multimedia communications. For example, voice, which is mostly what we're talking about today, video conferencing, instant message, presence management, things like that. So it is essentially the protocol that sets up and tears down these various forms of communications on a customer's network. It is standards-based using RFC 3261, and what makes SIP so valuable, it is transport independent. It runs on layer 4 UDP and TCP layers, so any sort of underlying transport can deliver these forms of communication, whether it be Ethernet or fiber optics or any form of IP transport. Oftentimes people get SIP confused with what is actually the RTP, the real-time transport protocol. RTP is what carries or is the actual packetized voice or video. So that is a real-time transport protocol, which is usually running in a UDP stream. So SIP is the Session Initiation Protocol, sets up and tears down various forms of communication. RTP is the underlying packets that are carrying real-time communications. Just to elaborate a little bit on this previous slide, SIP's been around for quite some time. We've seen it in a lot of different forms, most notably limited to the customer's local area network. For example, you might have a voice over IP phone system, which is shown up here. And you also have maybe third-party proprietary IP phones, which might be SIP devices. You also have presence management and instant messaging servers, unified communication servers, and so you have kind of the host and then the client applications all communicating over the local area network using SIP, Session Initiation Protocol. So what we're talking about today is taking SIP and going beyond the customer or the organizational local area network. As you can see here, we have our standard voice over IP phone system, as in the last slide, our unified communication servers, and our SIP endpoints, whether we're using SIP IP phones or we're using the client application. Now we extend beyond the local area network and we connect to a local internet telephone service provider. So traditional dial tone has been delivered to the organization over standard analog line or PRI up to this point in time, which is pretty common. Most of our customers will have deployed or will be deploying or replacing their current legacy digital or time division multiplexed phone system and migrating to a voice over IP phone system, such as the ShoreTel components we have on this slide. However, up to this point, and what's still most common is connecting that next generation state-of-the-art voice over IP communications phone system back to traditional legacy time division multiplex or analog phone lines. Well, it only makes sense the next evolution would be to extend the benefits of voice over IP communication to the dial tone or the service provider. And that's where the ITSP or the Internet Telephone Service Provider comes in. So in this particular scenario, instead of using the traditional analog and PRI connections, which we show to the right side of the slide, we are now also connecting phone services through the Internet Telephone Service Provider, the ITSP. What's nice about this is we can deliver those dial tone services or those carrier services or those SIP trunks over a number of different transports. We have customers that we deliver phone service via Ethernet over copper, fiber optics, MPLS, T1 internet. The list goes on. And once you start thinking along those lines, you can see the absolute flexibility and benefit that SIP has, most notably around cost savings, things like disaster recovery, failover, and things we're going to be talking about here in a little bit.